It's indeed a matter of proud privilege that today with us we have eminent food historian, the true apostle of women empowerment, the one who has strengthened Department of History, Department of Tourism, Hospitality and Heritage Studies at Jamia Millia Islamia, a widely travelled person and an able administrator, an amazing academician, Madam Professor Sunita Zaidi. So we welcome you, ma'am, to be here at this institute. Let me apprise you that the idea of having 1 week value-added workshop was to have a blend of academic inputs as well as live sessions. So we wanted to have a reflection of unity in diversity, and so beautiful is our motherland, India, that we have so much diversity in our country, so many cuisines, so many people, but still we are united, we are one. And so is our cuisine, which represents that saffron, if it is there in Kashmir, it is used in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and different states. And likewise, pepper, which is grown in South, in Kerala, is not merely used in India, but also rules the hearts of people across the globe. So, in this 5 days journey, day 1, we covered with facets of Indian food history, taught by Professor Zaidi sahab, and then we had a live session on food of Jammu and Kashmir by Chef Rahul Wali. Then day 2, the journey moved ahead. We had a talk on food and nutrition by Professor G.K. Kochar, who had been associated with Central University of Punjab, Central University of Haryana, HSC Gadwal Central University, and Kurukshetra University. We had a lovely session on food of the Punjab by Chef Ritika Gill, and being the university under the name of Maharishi Dayanand University, and giving an ode and a respect to the sentiments of the host population, all items that were prepared were vegetarian. The series continued ahead. Day 3, we had another eminent resource person who joined us and talked about food and society. We had Madam Professor Madhu Nagla, an eminent sociologist, and is presently the head of Department of Sociology of MD University, Rohtak. She talked about food, societal aspects and their perspectives. The talk was greatly admired. We also had an interesting session. So starting from Delhi, Jammu Kashmir, we moved to Punjab, and from Punjab, the day 3 proceeded for state of Haryana. So we had Chef Anurag, who covered the culinary voyage of state of Haryana, and he was also accompanied by girls from Kanya Mahavidyalaya, Sarpada. That's an affiliated college of Maharishi Dayanand University, Rohtak, and they offer Vivo Catering Technology and Hotel Management program. So that was really encouraging that those students, they joined us in the live practical series and did wonders. Day 4 of the journey of this 1 week value-added program encompassed of a talk on food and psychology. So psychological aspects pertaining to food were covered by Professor Sonia Malik, who is director of our university campus school and professor in Department of Psychology. And Hindustan ka dil dekho, ye tagline hai Madhya Pradesh tourism ki. So we had Chef A.K. Singh from Institute of Hotel Management, Bhopal, under Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, Central Institute. So Chef A.K. Singh covered diversity of various dishes which are prepared in different regions of Madhya Pradesh, and it was indeed a tempting session. We had dal baflas and not many other delicacies, and having baflas in university campus, that too in Haryana, was something that mesmerized the audience. And today at day 5, we have revered Madam Professor Sunita Zaidi, who will be talking on facets of Indian food history, and we will be having a chef from Intercontinental Crown Plaza, Delhi, who would be covering on cuisine of Delhi. So we start with our academic session. I request learned Chef A.K. Singh Saab to please come and present a bouquet of flowers to Madam Sunita Zaidi. Please sir, Ma'am Sunita Zaidi, you are please requested to come here. Then we have our young participant with us. So I'll request the fellow participant from the program to please come and offer a food basket to ma'am. Please come and offer food basket to ma'am. And then we start with the talk series. Let's listen to that what ma'am has to say about Indian food history phases. Please ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. May we now request you for your interactive session on food visits of Indian history, please.
Thank you, Daya sir, and thank you, Singh sir. Thank you, and all the participants and children. At the very outset, first of all, I would like to congratulate Daya sir and his entire team to organize such a beautiful, savory program, combining two things together, food as well as mental food. So these go together. So it's a wonderful session because I attended first day and saw, and we were so impressed that after going from here, we tried to cook that dum aloo, Kashmiri dum aloo, and we were very pleased with our achievement, what we had learned from there. Thank you so much for. And this is not the new concept, I'll tell you. Why? Because while I was a child, in Bikaner, at that time, Dalda ghee, they were promoting their product. And they were organizing these kinds of sessions in different cities. So they came to my city, Bikaner, and my mother was very enthusiastic about cooking. Always women, generally women they do. So they organized 10 days program in which they were teaching the common masses to cook new dishes with dalda ghee. And my mother attended that. And on 11th day, they asked the participants to cook the dish of their own choice, which they had not taught. So my mother stood first in that. So I have great memory of this kind of seminar. So thank you very much, because it joins the common masses also along with the university, which is very, very important. Then when we talk about food, food is always an integral part of man's life. All of us know. And we also know that whatever we have eaten while we were children, we never forget that taste. Why I say? Because Professor Zaidi's uncle, he migrated to England, and after 40 years he came back for the first time from England. So when he came to Rajasthan, obviously everyone was cooking great dishes for in his honor. Then he said to Inayat's mother, Bhabhi, please, bajri ka khichda banaiye. So he could not forget that taste. So food is so important, so integral part. And when we talk about food or food history, it starts with man. Whenever man came into existence, food also came into existence. And we have Indus Valley civilization. In that, obviously, we do have remnants of utensils which were used at that time for cooking, and we also know that wheat was the first crop which was there in that Indus Valley civilization. And then obviously with the passage of time, with the more civilized people, with the interaction, with globalization, definitely we find that there was intermixing of food. Now, when we say Delhi, Bernier He was a French traveler who came to India in the 17th century during Aurangzeb's period, and he was employed in Aurangzeb's army. He has written his memoirs, and he writes that Delhi is not a city. It is a cluster of villages. And still I feel that it is still a cluster of many, many villages. So when it is a cluster of villages, every village has its own food history. So there is no one dish we can say that it is Delhi's dish. We see there are variety of dishes, and there is Parantha Wali Gali, very famous. There is street food, very famous. If you go to Jama Masjid, because here non-veg is not cooked, so if you go to Jama Masjid, great non-veg food, and so on. Chaat, Delhi ki chaat, जो कोई जाएगा दिल्ली की चाट तो जरूर खाएगा. So that way we find that for Delhi, because still there is migration, people from all parts of India, they keep on coming and settling in Delhi, and when they come, they bring with them their own food articles, and that is how we find that Delhi developed. And Bernier, again I come to Bernier because it's very interesting. He has written on so many things about Delhi food. He says that in the market, the bread which we get, it's not worth to eat, because there is so much of sand in the bread that it's very difficult to eat. Water is polluted. And with that I remember one thing. In one Christmas we were in London. So we were celebrating that Christmas with one of our friends, English friends, and there she said, Sunita, what will you cook? I said that I'll cook pulao. Only what will you give it name? I said Sunita's pulao because I don't know what name can I give. So she gave me rice. And as we are used to, मैं उसको चुभने लगी ऐसे बैठ के. She was so surprised. She said, why are you doing this? I said, there will be some dirt in this, so I'm just cleaning it. She said, no, there can't be anything. And then I realized that we are so used to of adulteration in everything that we don't realize that in Europe, in civilized countries, it is a crime, great crime, and you are punished for that. So Bernier, he writes about that thing, that bread is not clean. You find all types of foods in the market, and you find all types of galiyan, all types of sharbat, etc. And then he says that here people eat dahi. That is very, very important. And when I talk about dahi, and that is particularly in Haryana, you can understand the importance of dahi. And he says that when I could not eat that bread, so then my aga, that is his employer, he used to send me some food from his own kitchen. And I'll tell you one thing, that it was a great honor that Mughal Badshah, with whomsoever they were pleased, the food was going from their kitchen to that man's house. That was considered great honor. And from earlier to that, if you read about Ibn Battuta, he came to Delhi in the 14th century during Muhammad bin Tughlaq's period, and he has also written about hospitality in food sector particularly. And he writes that the mother of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, she used to extend lavish parties, lavish lunch or dinner parties, and he has given all the description of food which was served. Obviously, main course was non-veg, but apart from that, he talks about some sweets, he talks about some vegetables also, and then he talks about samosa. All of us are so used to of having samosas, but he says that these samosas, the filling was of minced meat. Why? Because later on, when we did research, we found that potato, क्योंकि आज तो आलू होता है समोसे में, so potato that came to India in the 17th century only. Before that, we never had tasted what was potato, and that is why it came with Portuguese, and it was called batata. अभी भी कई जगह पे इसको बटाटा बोला जाता है. So these kinds of remnants we do find in the books and the sources as well. So that is why it is very, very important. Then another thing which I combined with the food, that etiquette, eating manners, etc. So these Europeans, when they came to India, they said that Indians, they don't know etiquettes because they don't use spoon, they don't use fork, they don't use knives. And here all, again I'll recall one incident that while I was a fellow at Oxford University, my English friends, they said let's try some Indian food in the Indian restaurant. So we went and we ordered for biryani. Then they started eating with their fork and spoon. I said, "Chodo isko, kya fork spoon?" And I started eating with my hand. And when I started eating with my hand, they were amazed. They could not believe कि हमारी उंगलियां कैसे चलती हैं, because they are not used to it, so they can't eat with hand. So these kinds of things are very, very important, which have been mentioned in the sources, because the sources are very, very rich. You do find all kinds of information about food, about the way of cooking, etc., about ingredients, and Nematnama. There is one source, Nematnama, from your area, Malwa, and 14th century, Hussain Shah, who was the ruler of Malwa, Mandu at that time. So he was so mesmerized with the cooking that all the paintings showing him sitting at the head of the chef and instructing them how to cook something. And similarly, like Nematnama, there are so many sources in the Persian, in regional languages also, particularly because I know only Rajasthani sources. So we do find there are many, many sources which deal entirely with the food and food habits, etc. Then also about drinks, when we say, आजकल हम लोग लेमन को कितना पसंद करते हैं. All of us really feel good when we are offered some shikanji. Humayun, while he was running away from India to Persia, so he was crossing Rajasthan. There, his court historian Johar Aftabji, he has written that I was in charge of his lemon juice bottle. And then another official, he said that give me so that you can ride on the horse and I'll give you this bottle. Johar Aftabji said, no, this is in my custody. Emperor has given me the charge of this, so I will not give. But anyhow, he gave that bottle to that person and it broke down. They were very afraid of. At the next stage, when they reached, their Humayun demanded that give my lemon juice. Then they had to disclose that bottle is broken. Then Humayun was very, very angry. And he said, now you are debarred from riding on the horse. Wherever we will go, you will walk. We will ride on the horse, and that was their punishment. And then for 2 miles they walked, because they had to walk. And then Humayun said, oh, there is no fault of this Johar Aftabji. Fault is only entirely of that another person. So Johar Aftabji was exempted from this punishment, but another man was not punishment. So what does it give message? That food or drinks were so important that when you were not getting that, you were very angry. So that is why we find that food, because I don't want to take much time, because practical is more important than this kind of lecture. But we find that as far as food history is concerned, it is very rich. sources are full of with information, all kinds of ingredients, all kinds of preparations, all kinds of methods. One thing more I will here narrate about Babur. When Babur came to India and defeated Ibrahim Lodi, after that he settled in Agra. And there he said that I wanted to try some Indian food as well. He was not used to of Indian food, so he said that I wanted to try some Indian food. And that is why he employed some Hindustani cooks as well. And there was one Bakawal or food taster who was also known as Chashnigir, by the name Chashnigir. And he said that Ibrahim Lodi's mother, she lured these Hindustani cooks to put some poison in my food. And they were successful in putting little bit of poison in Babur's food. But Babur recognized that and then he punished them. So food was also source of murdering someone. So we find that food has many dimensions. Food is important. Food will remain important and it will remain integral part of our life. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such a crisp and valuable talk which you have delivered. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that today is also World Food Safety Day. And what Madam cited in the end of her address, that food has also been used or misused to kill people. Even the university where we are today, Maharishi Dayanand University, Maharishi Dayanand ji was a great social reformer, and his cook was being misguided and he offered food with poison. Maharishi Dayanand ji knew yogic kriyas and he could get rid of it. And when the people who were against him, they were not able to accept that Maharishi ji was doing amazing things for society. At the end, it was glass which was finely crushed and then added into the food and then offered to Maharishi Dayanand ji. So, for us, being a part of value